One's ready. Go!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. You can't talk while I'm doing the intro, dude. Hey, everybody, it's Peaches. And we also have Kris from Guardian Grit. Thank you for joining us, dude. And thank you for everything that you're doing with Guardian Grit. And you know, helping mold and mentor and instruct the next generation of people. PJs, controllers, SR, Tech Ps.
I appreciate that. Yeah, Guardian Grit was actually started because I just saw a gap in really the water confidence world and just the mentoring world. A lot of these guys who join the military might not have an older brother or a mentor or a dad to go to. And, you know, I enjoy that stuff. I really enjoy helping guys out, and I really enjoy water confidence. And as we progress, I think the course is growing. We're linking up with you guys, and we've seen some really, really great, significant changes from guys who come into the course and then literally 48 hours completely different in the water. And so it's been great.
No, exactly. And that's kind of what I want to talk about here is what these events are and what they aren't. Because there's a lot of people out there that do hell days, hell weeks, you know, these big orchestrated things, which I'm not saying they're good or bad. I want to differentiate what these events are that we've been kind of getting together and doing. So why don't you hop in on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are different phases in your physical upbringing when it comes to being in special warfare. Some of you guys have an extensive background in sports and you can kind of just hop in there. But a lot of times guys will have this gene expression where they see this video and they're like, man, I want to be a PJ. I want to be a controller. You know, how do I start? Where do I come from? Or where do I go? And so I do agree with those courses that do the hell days and do the week-long beat downs. Like, you need that. But at the same time, I think you also need the foundation piece where we teach you, and this is what our courses teach you. We're going to teach you all the foundational things. When I tell you to do an underwater, I'm not just saying, hey, one's ready, go. I'm saying, hey, we're going to spend the next 45 minutes to an hour pushing off that wall. And I'm going to teach you exactly how to push off the wall, the way the water weighs down on your body, where your arm should be, you know, the whole aqua turtle, guys have seen that, you know, squeezing the pimple, spine elongated, hips, knees, ankles together. Imagine yourself as an arrow streamlined through the water. All these different things, a triple chamber breath, like these things matter because that first underwater will determine how much oxygen you contain will determine how your legs and your body feel in that third and fourth one. And I think that's the most important piece. And not only is it WaterCon, we're teaching basically everything in WaterCon, but we're teaching now with One's Ready, linking up here, we're teaching you how to run. We got Taylor Starch, who's world-renowned mobility coach, has every cert in the book, and he's teaching you how to be mobile in your hips and your ankles and your legs and literally your whole body, because the best thing about mobility and human performance that's come into our realm is the fact that we can build longevity of the operator. We're not so much teaching you how to just deadlift just because we want to do that. We're teaching you how to stay fit for a very long time, because as you and I know, Peaches, it might take 10, 12 years to become a very good operator, where you're not having to look back at the regs every single time and then execute all these different things. Like, it takes a long time. And if you don't have these little tips and secrets, especially with mobility and running and rucking that we teach in these courses, you're going to break down over time, and you're not going to be able to hang with the younger guys. You know, I'm feeling that now, and good thing that I kind of caught the end of the human performance piece when I was an instructor there. With that being said, I was a pararescue in-dock instructor. I was an instructor supervisor at the prep course. I've done a little bit at A&S as a guest instructor. And so I've worked with curriculum and lesson plans. I know exactly what they are looking for in the course because I taught it. And so one great thing about Guardian Grit is the fact that I know exactly what you need. And I'm not teaching you anything that is wrong. I see a lot of stuff out there, and we saw that last time. Like, guys came into our course And I was like, all right, raise your hand if you know how to do a mask and snorkel the right way when there's failure criteria, passing criteria. And so they did it, and no one ever got it right. Out of all the courses I've done, no one knew how to do it right unless he had already had been to A&S. And even those guys couldn't remember. So we hit the basics of like,
Yeah.
when you leave my course, now you know how to train the correct way. So when you go to your selection course, SWAS, you're going to feel a lot more confident. And I think that's where people are messing up. You might have the physical attributes, but if you are not confident in these minor things and in the water, like that really messes your psyche up. And you'll see guys who are shredded 8-packs. I could do 30 pull-ups, this and that, and they quit day 2. It's because they just didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what was right. And so guarding grit does water confidence alone, just guarding grit, and now we're starting to combine with ONESREADY, and you're going to see a lot more of that where we can bring in mentors like Peaches, who's a chief. We're starting to combine with ONESREADY, with Taylor Starch. We got smart guys like Aaron Love. We got Siegmiller, who was at Special Reconnaissance, who actually built the program and the curriculum for Special Reconnaissance. You got myself, and man, we're just running it. And the last course was unbelievable. Like, to see the motivation in these guys. I think Aaron just put out a video of like, guys were just ready to train. And we got lucky.
Yeah.
We had David Goggins come out there, yell at them a little bit, let them know what was up. And that was pretty cool. But what I want to talk about is the guys showing up who were doing 10, 12 strokes across the pool, or the guys who couldn't even do an underwater. And by the time we left that course, I'd say 80 to 90% of guys were doing 5 to 6 strokes across the pool with perfect form. And
Yeah.
so I think the number one word I used there was intentional. Are you doing intentional focused training on each event? And I think that's what Guardian Grit brings to the table. Yeah, so long-winded answer, but
No, you're good. I mean, it's cool because you're not just imparting knowledge, right? Through academics and whiteboard and very, very minimal PowerPoint. Like, I think there's one PowerPoint slide and it's just to show how joints work and that kind of stuff rather than, but again, Taylor and we all use the whiteboard and draw stuff on there, but it's imparting that knowledge, that also mentorship, and then taking them through practical exercises. You bring up the mask and snorkel. Well, we had them on the pool deck, not in the pool, but on the pool deck. They probably did 50 or so, at least 50 mask and snorkel with a buddy. Then, also buddy breathing, like how to correctly, and I'm not even doing it right, how to correctly hold each other, how to hold the snorkel correctly, what they can expect, the three lung or three chamber breathing, like all that kind of stuff described in a academic kind of environment, and then
like
taking
non.
that and applying it, right, and applying
Yeah,
it
and
in the pool.
yeah, absolutely. And you guys know, people have listened to me. I wrote a book called Phase One Water Confidence. If you don't have it, it basically shows you exactly what to do day to day. It has QR codes that go to a private YouTube, and it teaches you all that stuff. But what Peaches is saying here is, we took everyone on dry land, and I think that's one thing I keep seeing across the board is guys will go to the pool and they say, I'm going to train. And so they're like, hey, we're going to do 5 underwaters, then we're going to move to buddy breathing, then we'll move to drown proofing, and then we'll do this. But yet you never become an expert in anything, and let alone know how to become an expert in those things. And so I'm a big believer in, you learn how to hold your breath, then you learn how to do your underwaters, and then you learn how to do your masks and snorkels. And once you perfect those things, and it might take you 3 weeks per event, but you're going to become an expert. It's going to be like riding a bike, and then everything else will fall in place. But if you're going to the pool and you're not having intentional focused training on being good at certain things, you're never going to get good at it. And you're never going to feel confident going into SWAS with any of the actual events. You're just going to go, I hope I can do this. Or you can have the flip side and go, you know what? I went to a course where I learned the exact way they want to see it, and I've done an underwater 1,000 times. I've pushed off this wall 2,000 times in the last 6 months. I am an expert and I can teach this. And that's one thing we did implement was like, I really like to teach the guys, I do, you do, we do, and then you teach someone how to do it. And that keeps you on the queue of like, okay, do I know what I'm doing or do I not? And by the end of the course, man, these
Yeah.
guys were absolutely doing great.
Well, and I remember, we as we were going through kind of the academic portion, talking about, all right, now let's talk about buddy breathing. And you asked them, hey, raise your hands. How many people have actually trained to buddy breathing before this event? And it was very few hands. Some of them because they're probably training on their own and they just didn't have somebody else to get in a pool with an actual practice. And that's buddy breathing for I guess I understand why, but buddy breathing seems to be one of the things that just freaks people out. And maybe it's just because you're relying on somebody else, or maybe just the kind of fear of the unknown. But a lot of people have the ability to train it because they're not good at it, or it's a little bit daunting. They don't train to it. And this event forces them to do that. We make sure you have a partner. And if you want to ramp up the kind of harassment, there's mild, moderate, and heavy harassment. And like we help provide that to a certain degree.
Yeah, absolutely. Buddy breathing is it's an event that people freak out about, and there's a point where you're not going to have air and your buddy's not going to have air. And so what we teach is the foundation of like how to actually hold your grip, how to hold the snorkel to where you're getting it out of the water. Are you working with someone who's buoyant or a sinker? How do you deal with that? Are we when we pass the snorkel, are we just shoving it into our buddy's mouth? Or is he doing that to you where you can't get in your mouth? We learn all these different tricks from 90-10, and we talk about breathing, like how much air do you actually need to blow out water of the snorkel? And we teach you all that stuff. And then we go through the mild, the moderate, the severe. And so as you level up, you can start to experience that. And again, this course is 2 days long. We actually have one in Orlando coming up, 8th and 9th. We still have some slots there. So if you guys are listening, like hit us up on Instagram, Orlando 8th and 9th. The pool and we're going to do 2 days of pool, and then we're going to kind of break off, do our land stuff and our academics. But one great thing that we saw last time, and I've been doing this every time with these events, is that we go camping on Saturday night. Everyone brings a tent and we just mentor around the fire. We tell stories. We talk about. So the Orlando event is coming up 8th and 9th of March, and it's going to be beautiful out there. We're going to have 2 pool days. We're also going to break off and do some academics and calisthenics and how to run and mobility and some mentoring. But one thing that's great that actually a lot of people talk about is the networking that you find across the country with like-minded dudes. And one way we do that is we camp out Saturday night, and we have tents and we have this fire, and we join around and we have food. We always pay for food for all the guys, and we're eating burgers, hot dogs, and we're just talking about our life. And you'll start to realize that all these operators that you hear and these PJs and controllers, we're no different from you guys. We're literally just guys who are on a different timeline. I believe that anyone who comes out, who even thinks about being SW, is on a golden thread. We're all on the same golden thread. You have decided that you want to do something more than yourself, and you're willing to suffer to reap the benefits, to save lives, and really just secure the freedom of the United States. And I love that about everyone that comes out there. And we tell all types of stories. We talk about God. We talk about experiences. We talk about the next day and what you guys experience. We give feedback on individuals. Hey, this is something you need to work on, this and that. And man, I mean, people stay up all night, and then we go at it the next day. And by the end of the weekend, guys are extremely happy. We've got amazing reviews. And so I encourage this course. This is not so much a sale. I just really want you guys to be involved in something like this. And maybe in the comments after this, you'll see guys who went in through the course and say, and you'll see all the positive stuff. You got to invest in yourself, guys. And if this is something that you're going to spend the next 20 to even maybe 30 years of your life, how you train now and how you focus and how you get with the right groups is going to determine if you either make it or not. So
Yep.
that's what I have to say on that.
No, exactly. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up, but Hoist, shout out to Hoist because they send out a ton of Hoist for that event. And I'm going to see if I can get them to send out some stuff for this next one too. So we definitely appreciate Hoist doing that. So I want to go through this real quick, and I don't know if it's be best to do it towards the end, but I want to be very clear. The next event is Orlando, Florida, 8 through 9 March. So that's a Saturday and a Sunday. There's going to be camping provided that Friday evening, the 7th. So if you fly in or drive in, you'll have a place to stay then. You'll have a place to stay Saturday night. Camping is not provided that Sunday on the 9th. So recommend arriving the evening of the 7th, departing on Sunday the 9th. The schedule, and it changes because of pools and venues and stuff like that, but generally it's going to be 8 or 9 to 5 at night. So if you're trying to book plane tickets or looking like, man, I gotta get out of there Sunday, that's fine. Try and book your tickets sometime after 5. If you have to take off early, like that's fine, but if you want to get the most training possible, try and schedule something for well after 5 o'clock in the afternoon or in the evening.
Yeah, absolutely. One question I always get is like, should we bring lunch and all this stuff for the days? Guys, just bring snacks. The last thing you want to do is eat something heavy before you get in the pool or any of this training. One thing I do want to bring up about our courses is that we don't smoke you guys. Like,
Yeah.
That's one thing that we intentionally do is not to smoke you. That is not this type of course. I do, like I said before, I do agree very much with the courses that do smoke you. You need to kind of see where you're at mentally and you can work from there. But this course is strictly foundational. We want you to be in a controlled environment where you don't have to stress out and you can just perform. And once you perform for a while, that's going to become second nature. And then once you get into a stress filled environment, it's just going to, like we always say, you're never going to rise the occasion, you always fall back to your training. It's hard to learn skills and foundation in a very stressed environment. And so your pre-accession, going to BMT and so on, is pinnacle to your success, and how you run it and how you do things and how you invest in yourself is going to be key. So,
right. And there, and to your point, we're not going to be yelling. We're not going to be, there's probably, we may take you through a portion where like, hey, this during a smoke session, this is what you can expect, but it's not like, it's just to almost a demonstration, not a like actual. We're not going to be yelling. We're there to mentor you and instruct you. If we need to crank it up because you're, being a jackwagon, like, okay, we'll do that. But that's not the intent at all.
We haven't seen that yet. A lot of guys are very
No.
professional there. But just like
Right.
Peaches,
And they're motivated to be there.
yeah, absolutely. And just like Peaches said, when we teach the run portion, we're not like, all right, we're going to go on a 5-mile run. Some of these guys are not at that level, and we're not trying to get them to just break down to where we can't get them to think. When you are so smoked cognitively, it's really hard to retain information, one, and then perform the right way when your muscles are all jacked up. So the running form is like, hey, this is how you run. Here's the dynamics. Here's the insides and outs of like the shoes you're supposed to be wearing, your cadence, your breathing, where your hips should be, where your feet should be. And then we kind of like go through that to where you really truly understand that being a good runner is coinciding with how your form is. And so we have Taylor Starks, who taught that class last time. Unbelievable. Actually, it was funny because I started teaching the class and then he was just so much better than me when it came to like the ins and outs, because every cert he has,
like, I got
you teach this. And he was like, oh, really? Thanks. And so
yeah,
he enjoys that stuff. And you guys will probably see in the comments, or if you've ever followed Taylor Starch on Instagram, he is probably the most passionate dude I've ever met in his realm, like for what he loves. I mean, it is unbelievable. Yeah. It's really great to see. So,
yeah. And so you brought up skill level. Is there a minimal skill level for this, or is there like, do you, hey, don't even bother applying for this if you're not at this?
No, not at all. And again, with the whole foundational piece, like we've had guys who barely could swim. We had a guy who actually won. We give out awards at the end of this, like the most improved. It's not so much like you're the most squared away. It's really the most improved. The guys who are the most trainable, where I can take you from nothing to something, from zero to hero in just 48 hours, and it's possible. Yeah. So we had this guy Nathan. He came out with his dad. His dad's a was a retired policeman, just a great guy. Like it's funny, he actually just sits on the pool deck with us, and we shoot the crap with him. Uh, really cool to have that guy and just watch his son progress. So the first event Nathan went to, this guy could not even swim. I think it was like a 15 or 16-minute 500. I just worked with him. I hit him with these drills that are very intentional drills to fix his, his high elbow, and how to keep his head down and keep aligned across the water where he's not dragging, like all these little things that help you freestyle. The next day on Sunday, I did another 500 at the end of the day, and he did it in 10 minutes.
Jeez.
So you'll see guys who are training for months and months and months, and they're trying to figure it out on their own. And I commend that, guys. Everyone wants to be this independent man, but it's okay to reach for help. That's what we're here for. We want to help you. It's not like, I guess I got to do this. Like, this is something I love to do. This is something you love to do. And if you are trainable and you listen, I'm going to give you my full attention. I'm going to give you everything I've ever learned to make you better. And it proves that if you listen, just like Nathan did, within literally 24 hours, he knocked 5 minutes off his swim. Guys, I mean,
It's
I don't know what to
crazy.
tell you more. I
Crazy.
mean, it's crazy foundational work. We're very good at what we do. I've been teaching WaterCon for 15 years now. So
Yeah.
I see everything. I know how your body works. I know exactly what to tweak. And so, yeah, kudos.
And not just that, like it's in terms of fitness level, fitness level, you don't have to be like, you could just be starting out and this is the thing for you. You could be training and being in a development set, training session for 9 months at this point, and this is still for you. You you don't have to be in the Air Force to do it. You could be a recruit. You could just be interested. You can be in the Air Force and attend. You
You
I
could be
lost my train
16,
of thought.
17, doesn't matter, because
Yep.
you can, sign the waiver. If your parents want to come and watch, like, we're not all,
Yeah.
we don't care. Like, you can bring whoever you
Oh,
want.
also, you don't have to be going for PJ, CCT, SR Tech P. If you're going for C or EOD, or you're just like, dude, I just want to check this out and get better and more comfortable in the water, this is for you.
And not even that, if you want to be a SEAL, if you want to be Marine Recon, if you want to do these things where that have water confidence in your course, this is going to give you that confidence that you can move on. We had a Navy guy last time. We've had a SEAL guy come in there one time, and they're learning. Like I said, there are different ways to do stuff, but the more stuff you have under your belt, the better you are off. You can choose what is going to work for you, and then move on and train.
Yep, exactly. Um, how often do you anticipate us doing this? Like for people that can't make this March class, like what's the intent for this?
So we're going to have to get into that. I'm going to be leaving for a little bit. We're going to have some people taking over and helping out, but our intent is to knock out at least one a month. We've been doing that consistently. Guardian Grid has for sure. We just partnered up with ONESREADY, and we're trying to do that every single month. As it grows, and as we can grab a couple more instructors, and that's one thing myself and Peaches talked about. We don't want just anyone. I'm not just going to hire you because you're a PJ or you were a controller. Like, I need to make sure that you're going to be able to feed the right information, the correct information. You can do it in a manner where you're not smoking dudes and just getting mad at people. Like, there's a certain personality, and you'll notice that in our course. Like, everyone is like that. And so that's a good thing for you guys. But every month, potentially twice a month, when I retire in 3 years or 3.5 years, I'll be trying to do it every weekend. And yeah, so as it's growing, guys, and it is, and I do want to mention this. Guardian Grit, even One's Ready. Obviously, One's Ready been doing mentoring for a long time. Guardian Grit also has a WhatsApp, and you guys can find that on my IG. It's a roughly 160 guys. We're trying to move to Discord because Discord's really awesome. Actually, there's so many different avenues of like organization, and so we'll slightly do that. But I'm talking this Guardian Grit chat with 150, 160 guys from across the country from all levels. They've gone to SWAS, they graduated SWAS, they're in, 3 months before they go to BMT, all these different levels of guys. They talk nonstop. I had to turn off my notifications because it's just nonstop. Any question you can ask, someone's going to answer it. 3 or 4 guys are going to answer, hey, I went to SWAS. This is what you need to expect. Hey, I did this. And guys are like, thank you so much. Even down to the point of like, what size fins am I wearing? What about these booties? Hey, I wore these in SWAS. I wore these in like, man, it's amazing. So if you're not in that, you got to get in that. And while you're in there, you'll start to see like a little bit more information on these events that you're going to hear about.
Exactly. Well, dude, I think that's a good place to end it. You got any parting shots?
No, the only thing, guys, is there's a lot of courses out there, and I love all of them, honestly. But this course brings foundation. And if you're looking for that edge, the foundation of everything that you're doing, from buddy breathing to underwater to running, and knowing what the instructors are looking for at your course, we bring that to the table. And invest in yourself, guys. If this is something you want to do for the rest of your life, for the next 20 plus years, it's all worth it. I'm telling you right now. And we're here to help you. Like, we answer our phone at all times. We run these events with professionalism, and we do care about you guys. And so that's all I got, Peaches.
Man, I was gonna use the invest in yourself thing because it's we ad read and sponsor companies like Attack Elite, right? And Hoist and Defend and all these things, and it's you're buying this stuff, or you're buying the training or whatever to help invest in yourself. That's all it is, right? And yeah, man, I can't say it any better. I shouldn't even have said anything. I should have just closed it. All right, everybody, we're out here, and we'll see you out in Orlando in March. Later.
All right. Who we got, guys?